to be welcomed into spaces, to have those conversations with people I've never met, people who might not have ever met somebody with a name like mine or who plays like I do, to have a conversation about who we are and who we want to be, about the kind of Michigan we want to build for all of our kids, that has been a great privilege. So as we take this walk today, I'm looking forward to hopefully sharing more of those conversations with all of you, and we get to render our choice on Tuesday. I just want to remind us how much of a privilege it is. My family comes from a place where there is no democracy. There is no voting, right? The party in power wins by 99%. There is no conversation that you share. In fact, if you try to have a conversation, they will shut it down. Maybe it's just because I understand the accident of history that allowed me to have this, just how great a privilege it is to get to choose our leaders. And the notion that anybody would choose me, that to me is a real privilege. But the notion that we've been able to build a movement, not about me, but about what we all want, money out of politics, money in our pocket, Medicare for all, that has resonated with the state, that to me is the greatest privilege of all. So I'm just honored to be here with you all, celebrating the democracy we've got, the opportunity we've got on Tuesday, and then 13 more weeks from there to continue to build on this movement, to get money out of politics, put money in our pockets, and pass Medicare for all. And I'm just going to finish here. Don't leave me here or send me there and leave me there. All right, I don't want to come back with DC brain. I don't want to forget the whole purpose. So as you walk with me today, I hope that you'll walk with us for the next 6 years as we work to pass the legislation we all need and deserve. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, we're live. All right, hello everyone. This is JT Siskowski for Status Coup, streaming in partnership with Drop Site News. I am in Detroit, Michigan, where we are in the closing days of the Senate race between Abdul al-Sayed and Haley Stevens for who will represent the Democratic Party in the Senate race in this crucial state that will help decide control of the Senate this November. If Democrats want to have a chance to take that chamber, they need to win Michigan. That is just electoral math. They need to win Michigan in addition to several other states, and this is one of the states that is ground zero for the ideological battle inside the Democratic Party, for the heart and soul of the party, for the direction that it is going to take. And right now, we are following a march of the many, as it's being branded by Dr. Abdul al-Sayed's campaign, as al-Sayed looks to lead a Zoran Mamdani-style march through downtown Detroit. He is leaving from a coffee shop just outside of downtown. We'll be walking for the better part of 2 miles, where he'll be meeting and greeting voters along the way. We'll be doing interviews, bringing you the sights and sounds here in the rain as we do so, because we are on the ground, as always, here at Status Coup. We take great pride in doing the actual kind of journalism that far too many media outlets do not do. You will notice that there are not many, if any, corporate media outlets. I guess I should say that there are a couple of photographers here from some of like the Reuters of the world, some of those wire services, but where's CNN? Where's the New York Times? They're never here. It's always us here on the ground, and a lot of times it's just us. And we are here regardless of the rain, regardless of the weather. We stay on the ground telling these stories because these stories don't stop just because it's inconvenient to cover them, which is why we do this kind of coverage, and we believe in it so wholeheartedly. If you are joining us for the first time here at Status Coup, if you're part of perhaps the Drop Site audience who we are streaming in partnership with today, first of all, welcome. This is what we do here at Status Coup News. We go on the ground, tell these domestic stories that the corporate media covers up here in the United States of America, what we call the United Corporations of America, because this country is just a series of large multinational corporations in a trench coat. And we go on the ground to lift up the stories, usually of working class people, and hear what actually matters to these people here on the ground. If you appreciate the work that we do, first thing you can do is get subscribed. We will be going live daily here from Michigan through the primary, including on election night, where we will be bringing you the election results. We believe from one of the campaign watch parties, likely Abdul al-Sayed's. And we'll be publishing nearly constantly to our social media clips of our coverage along the way. This is just the first event of many that we'll be at here over the next several days. So aside from getting subscribed to us, the next thing you can do is to like and share this stream. The social media algorithms, YouTube and the like, love to suppress the work that we do and the work of progressive media more generally, because we tackle actual real topics that are, let's say, not too flattering to many of those big tech oligarchs, and they like to suppress that work. Plus, what we tend to cover is controversial, and they would rather you just please shut up and watch these cute cat videos, and that's what they push to you through their algorithms. We're not interested in that, but we can use those algorithms against themselves. So if you like and share this stream, that goes a long way to signaling to those algorithms that this is something that people want to see, and we get this out to more people, which is a boost that we sorely need, because we do not rely on corporate sponsorships, advertising, etc. for our work. And what instead, the way we sustain ourselves is through individual donations, individual memberships to Status Coup. So the ultimate thing you can do for us is go to statuscoup.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go to sustain actual on-the-ground journalism that looks at issues through a lens of economic justice, of accountability, the things that journalism should be doing, taking a critical eye to the issues that are really facing the working class in this country. Number way you can do that, statuscoup.com/Dune, because the work that we do here is not cheap. It costs us thousands of dollars to be able to offer this coverage. When you factor in transportation, costs us thousands of dollars to be able to offer this coverage. Between transportation, between housing, and everything else involved with routinely going live in places across this country. And now I'm going to dive in here into this crowd, but first of all, to give you a sense, this is really a who's who of progressive politics and progressive media that are out here this afternoon. There is a lot of people out here. And for a campaign march, just so far in this crowd, I think Rashida Tlaib left, but squad member Rashida Tlaib was out here. Obviously, Abdul al-Sayed here is in the crowd. There are more like Congresswoman Ania Mejia from New Jersey who is out here. There's more than that also campaigning with Abdul and with Donovan McKinney, who is somebody that we'll be hearing from here shortly. I've been promised an interview. And then there's also, like I said, many progressive media figures here as well, like Jolly Good Ginger. Right now the crowd is shouting, who do we want? Donovan. Where do we want him? Congress. And that's a reference to Donovan McKinney, who is a DSA-endorsed candidate for Michigan's 13th congressional district, which would represent downtown Detroit, where we are right now. All right. I'm going to start grabbing some interviews here. John?
Abdul. Abdul. Abdul.
You see here, this is Abdul al-Sayed here, running for Senate, and he is walking through the crowd here and greeting people along the way as we go. We'll get in here with our questions in just a moment.
Rocket!
Medicare for
All.
money out of
Politics.
money in your
Pockets.
Medicare for
All.
You see him there hugging some people here on the street.
Okay.
We'll be talking soon. I saw you at Charlie Wilson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There he is.
Dr. El Sayed there telling his supporters to knock off the anti-Haley Stevens chant.
If you want to do an APAC version, you're welcome to do that. Hey, hey, ho, ho, APAC's got to go. Hey, hey,
Ho ho. APAC's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. APAC's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. APAC has got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. APAC has got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. APAC has got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. APAC has got to go. Ho ho. APAC has got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. APAC money's got to go. Hey hey. Ho ho. APAC money's got to go.
Yeah, let's make sure to talk later.
Let's definitely.
I wasn't.
All right, I want to get up by.
Grab somebody.
Yeah, I want to grab him really quick to ask one question.
What do we want?
Healthcare.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Healthcare.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Healthcare.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Healthcare.
When do we want it?
Now.
Union rights. What do we want? Union rights. When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Union rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Union rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Union rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Union rights.
When do we want it?
Now.
Woo! Healthcare. That's why we're fighting for.
A little bit of a hold up here as a photographer was walking backwards. The hazards of our job, tripped over the curb and then dropped, I think, a lens down the embankment here of the highway, which it was actually Dr. El Sayed who stopped to help the photographer up. One of the people who helped the photographer up and asked if she was doing okay.
Roxy, your outfit is so cute.
Winning the internet every day.
What am I holding?
Just hold the
Guys, let's
tripod.
stay-
Got it?
stay on the sidewalk.
Yep, we had some technical difficulties there with our tripod of ourselves. Luckily, we didn't drop a lens down a highway, but it's hazardous work out here for the equipment, which is why we appreciate our members who help us fix equipment in the field. Statuscoup.com/join. Keep us doing these live streams. I'm trying to walk this fine line, just to let you folks in, I'm trying to walk this fine line where we're trying to be a little bit the fly on the wall, capture all of this, that journalistic lens, to let you see what this event is like, because Dr. El Sayed is, the whole point of doing this event is to try and get out and talk to real Michiganders. So I don't want to be, the press who is, shoving myself in between him being able to do that and actually get that that very real moment, and him to have those interactions with voters and be able to show those to you, but also want to ask him some questions while we're here. So if you see me being a little bit hesitant, that's why I thought I had a moment with him, and then he was speaking to a UAW member here in the crowd, but it looks like he's got a break here. Dr. El Sayed, why was it, just a moment ago, why was it important for you to redirect the crowd's energy from going after Haley Stevens to some of those more systemic problems like AIPAC? Why was that important in the chanting?
We're not against any one person. We're against a system that tells us what we can't have and shouldn't fight for. We're against a system that injects corporate money and special interest money into our politics to buy politicians. And, I'm not against any one person, or certainly this movement is a lot bigger than any one opponent. So, I just want to make sure that we keep it focused on what we're trying to do. You can beat Haley Stevens and not actually achieve the things you want to achieve. We need to achieve the things we want to achieve, which means that we want to beat corporate money. We want to beat AIPAC money. We want to beat a system that allows them to flow into our politics and dictate who their next U.S. senator is. So it's a lot bigger than just one person, and I want to keep it positive and focused on the things we're trying to fix.
A lot of your closing day events here are going to be in the Detroit area. Why is this where you're focusing in the closing days of your campaign?
Well, Detroit is Michigan's biggest city. Detroit is the home to so many of the most important things that have happened in American history. You think about the birthplace of union organizing. You think that's Detroit and Flint. You think about Detroit is the arsenal of democracy. You think about the incredible migratory communities that have come, the Great Migration upward to take jobs, the migration of so many different groups of people who've come together to be a part of the cornucopia of America. That happens here in Detroit, and we also have the best pizza in the world.
Good plug for the pizza shops there at the end.
You do events on Tuesday. How can you garner Haley Stevens voters in the general election? There's a recent poll that it looks like only 5 out of 10 would be right now committed to voting for you in the general. How can you bring in the other 5 out of 10?
Look, it's been a hard-fought campaign, and unfortunately, when you have $70 million spent in a campaign like this, it tends to be focused on dissuading people to be a part of our politics. And I'm going to do it the same way that I've been doing it for the last 15 months. And it's not just me, it's this movement of people coming together to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all. So we're going to keep talking about what it takes to do that, and also what it takes to defeat Mike Rogers. I mean, this is a guy who's never seen a corporate check he didn't want. Helped to architect the opioid epidemic. I mean, 600,000 Americans are dead because of the legislation that he introduced in 2003. I remember sitting in medical school being taught that pain was a vital sign, that we got to offer all of our patients opioids. And we saw what that's done now.
Yeah.
Why? Because he did not see a big pharma check he didn't want. He is the worst manifestation of all of the things that we are against. Plus, he's like an errand boy for Donald Trump. Right? He's like completely he's taken, I don't know what the bronzer is he's wearing, but if he's trying to do the Timu Trump, he's doing it really well. So all of this is to say, we've got to get together. We've got to defeat him, defeat Trumpism, hold them accountable, and then get on and pass the legislation that we need to deserve to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all.
Heavenly Representative Stevens has made significant headwaves within the black community, whether it's in the Detroit area, whether it's in the Lansing area. If you do advance on Tuesday, how can you make inroads with the black community?
My relationship with these communities isn't founded on coming and doing some photo ops or ads that lie about my past. My relationship is founded when I came to rebuild the health department in 2015. I've been working in these communities for 10 years. And, a couple of attack ads are going to have some damage, but, I'm looking forward to rebuilding and reintroducing all of the work that we've done to care for these communities, and the work that we need to do to take on Rogers, and more importantly, to start delivering for communities. So you think about a ongoing maternal and child health epidemic of maternal mortality and infant mortality. You think, the responsibility we have to reinvest in entrepreneurship in communities here in these communities. So, look, I have a body of work to build off of, and I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Thank you, Abdul.
Yep.
Abdul. Mason with Courier Newsroom. We talked about a month ago. Good to see you
Good
again.
to see you, man.
Lots of people coming out on a Sunday in the rain. What do you think's inspiring them to be here in these conditions?
They want money out of politics, money in their pockets, and Medicare for all.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is a campaign that's a lot bigger than me or even this seat. It's about the kind of politics we want. What is it that we're trying to do here? What is politics supposed to be about? And if you believe in government of the people, by the people, and for the people, it shouldn't be brought to you by corporations, special interests, and billionaires. And so we're having that conversation, and I think people are really resonating to it.
When you're in the U.S. Senate, what are your first priorities you want to make sure you get done?
Well, try to get money out of politics, put money in pockets, pass Medicare for all. What does that mean? That means ending Citizens United, banning corporate contributions in our politics, ending the whole system of 501c4s and super PACs and dark money. It means standing with unions and passing the PRO Act. It means passing Medicare for all. And I get, look, Donald Trump is going to be president in the next 2 years, but I also know that there's a lot we can do to have the conversation to win the future that we need and deserve. And I know that we've got a message here. So should anybody be watching, interested in what 2028 should look like, my point is if you want to win Michigan, right, we want money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all.
We got it.
Thank you guys. We're going to give him some space, please. Thank you.
Watch out for the big
So there you go. You heard from a little bit from Abdul El-Sayed there. John is there's a giant hole in the middle of the sidewalk and I've been watching photographers trip over and run into light poles and bicycle racks here as we go. So hazardous to do this work. You wouldn't have thought, John. I was joking with John that this is a lot different than the coverage that we had been doing. Getting tear gassed in Chicago and Minneapolis following ICE and Border Patrol as they were carrying out illegal disappearances of Americans and immigrants off of America's city streets. And I said, John, this should be a pretty easy one by comparison, but already we're seeing some of the hazards here. So, John, don't get complacent. John, I'm going to try and grab Donovan McKinney really quick for an interview. I saw him earlier. I'm going to see if I can find him again.
Can we get on the sidewalk, please?
Are you JT? I'm Sophie. Nice to meet you.
Sophie, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you guys know where he went? Okay.
He said he only walks his district lines, and his district is over there. So he's just walking over there.
Oh, interesting.
No, just us. Sorry.
I'm going to jog to the back really quick just to be sure that he's not here. Oh, that was him. Hey, it's all right. Yeah, is now a good time? I was going to ask.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Good.
More importantly, how are you doing in the closing days of the campaign?
Listen, 2 days left until Election Day. We're excited. There's a lot of energy on the ground. We're just wanting people to go vote. And if they go vote, we win.
Donovan, we're actually live streaming this march right now.
Oh,
and
hey.
it would have been billed as a Abdul El-Sayed march. So for our national audience who might not know of the race that you're mounting here in Detroit, can you fill them in on who you are and the platform that you're running on? I should probably throw it open by just, this is Donovan McKinney is running for the 13th district. 13th district, sorry, a lot of districts to keep track of inside of my brain, but the 13th district, which represents downtown Detroit and some of the surrounding neighborhoods. So, Mr. McKinney, if you could just give us an introduction to our audience as to who you are and the platform you're running on.
Yeah, so Donovan McKinney again. I currently serve as a state representative. I'm running for Congress. Right now, I represent the poorest state house district in Michigan. $14,000 is the median income of my current district. If you break that down by 12 months, that's a little over $1,200 a month. I'm running to represent the 5th poorest congressional district in the country. And so what's top of mind for a lot of our constituents, are the day-to-day costs, right? And so, you know, I know folks who are literally issues with gas, groceries, insurance costs, whether it's auto insurance, health insurance, things of that nature, child care costs. And so what we're running on is a three-pronged platform, getting all this dark corporate money out of our politics. So we must end Citizens United. Number 2, Medicare for all, whether you have a pre-existing condition or not. I do believe you're justly supposed to get the care you need. And number 3, universal free childcare. My wife and I, we have 3 beautiful children that we're raising right here in the city of Detroit. We have our 3 babies, so I got 2 baby boys, ages 4 and 2. And then we have a baby girl who just turned 11 months old. And we pay more in child care for our oldest son than we do our mortgage. And so if we want younger people to have these families and to raise children, well, we have to lower the cost for them.
So where do you see the distinctions between that platform that you just laid out that I think for our audience, I think a lot of our audience is going to be very excited by that platform that you just laid out. What's the distinction that you're drawing between yourself and then the current sitting congressman who you're running against?
So we're not taking any corporate money. We're running a grassroots campaign, so I'm not taking any money from APAC, crypto, or monopoly utility, DTE, ICE contractors. That's all my opponent. He's a multimillionaire.
Are you at all concerned that that's going to just, hobble your campaign from the outset?
I was, but then I realized organized people beat organized money every single time. And so when we get the vote out, we'll win 100%. And we have a lot of the energy on the ground. This is a national movement. And people think it's just happening from, the coastal elite side, which are the New Yorks and the Californians and the Jerseys of the world. But it's coming to middle America, and it's coming to the Great Lakes state of Michigan because Michigan is ready for a real change. They're tired of the platitudes and the status quo politicians. They're just reading off our talking points, telling us what we want to hear, but behind closed doors don't give a rat's ass about us. And so we are a working class champion fighting for working people of this district. We're always going to put the working families of this district first, and I think people are resonating with that message.
Absolutely. So you are now part of this cohort that's being thrust into the national spotlight. I don't know if you invited it or wanted it at all, but there's certainly a lot being made of the fight for the future of the Democratic Party and what kind of policies and figures it should be putting forward to voters in general elections. First of all, do you have an opinion on what the Democratic Party should look like going forward, and how is it different from the Democratic Party of right now?
So if we want to continue to be the Democratic Party that is the party of the people, which I do believe we can be that way, we can't serve 2 masters. We all know the Republicans are a lost cause. But with the Democrats, you either are going to serve the interests of the working people, the folks in our district, or you're going to serve the interests of the corporations and the wealthy and the oligarchs. And so for me is, if we want to continue to hold power in a sustainable way and not being able to flip-flop every election year, depending on who has the gavel, then we have to actually follow through what we promise, which is a real direct agenda for working people. They have the Project 2025 agenda. They're literally working through it to the T. Where is our working party agenda? Where is the working families in this agenda? And that is really the push for what's to come, and I'm excited to get in the halls of Congress to work alongside a big coalition of other elected leaders across the country, and we're going to push and fight for everyday working people.
All right, so I'm tracking hundreds of races across the country right now, so I apologize if I get anything wrong, but I believe that you are a candidate who has been endorsed by the DSA. What does that endorsement mean to you?
It means a lot. Listen, we are building one of the biggest and baddest coalitions in the country. I've had over 150 plus endorsements from DSA, National, to Working Families Party, LCV, Sierra Club, a lot of our enviro groups. Shout out to Jane Fonda. She endorsed us, as well as the labor unions. I come out the labor, out of the labor movement, SCIU, my grandfather UAW. So of the UAW, SCIU, I'm the only candidate in Michigan that's running for a federal office endorsed by the AFL-CIO that is a non-incumbent. So and then we have faith leaders that's on the ground, from federal leaders like Bernie Sanders and Summer Lee, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, like so many other great people. And then all the way down to the local level, a lot of the mayors and city council folks. And so I'm asking folks, Give us an opportunity to represent you. I guarantee you won't regret it.
Why did you want to be a part of this march with Abdul El-Sayed?
Well, because we are running on very similar platforms. We're unapologetically about working people. We're not taking any corporate money. And we're getting a lot of money spent against the both of us. Tens of millions of dollars in this state between the two races. And it's sad. But a lot of lies are being told, a lot of misinformation on the voters. But we're going out here and letting them know that we're going to represent them.
You've outlined a really bold policy agenda, Medicare for all. I assume you're no fan of corporate spending in elections, considering how much is lined up against you. But with all of that you could take on, and a Congress that still remains quite beholden to corporate interests, how do you begin to even force a modicum of that agenda through?
Well, it's simple. It's power in numbers. And so when you have the Democratic Party, I do believe we're going to take back the majority. But it's not going to be the biggest majority like we had in the 08 cycle, right, under Obama. I think it's going to be a moderate-sized majority. And when you have at least 10, 15, 20 members that are focused on working class values and working class people who aren't focused on the corporate agenda, then you can make some changes within government, especially when it comes to Congress. In the Senate, it's going to be a little harder, but at least in the House, we can hold and push our party accountable to lean towards the working values that we are fighting for.
My last question, because I see some other press who I think want to talk to you lining up, and I want to be cognizant of them as well. So I already asked you about, how the national framing around this race, around the conservative, progressive struggle within the Democratic Party right now. Let's ignore that for a second. What does that national narrative miss about the campaign that you're running here on the ground, or the issues that Michiganders care about or that you're hearing about from people in your district? I mean, I was just reading coverage the other day we were talking about people here in the United States of America who are selling plasma to get by. I mean, you're talking about the average income of your district being about $1,200 a month. So what is that national narrative that, that kind of makes this about a national political football? What does it miss about what people in your district are feeling and dealing with?
It doesn't matter the race of a person. It doesn't matter who they love, where they live, or how they worship. Everybody I'll talk to, from inner city Detroiters to suburbanites, no matter how old, they're all struggling to make ends meet. And I like to say this, we're all a part of 99%, no matter how you slice it. I joke around when I say this, but it's true. You can hit the lottery today and still won't be a part of the top 1% earners of our country. We have our first trillionaire in the history of this nation. And you're telling me that we can't provide resources for the most vulnerable populations, have seniors on fixed income. All they receive from Social Security is $900 a month. $800 is their rent, give or take, because they get like a senior discount. But then their out-of-pocket costs for doctor visits and life-saving prescription drugs, and their food assistance just got cut from the federal government because of H.R. 1, the one big shitty bill that the Republicans and Trump just ran through. And so these are the issues that are going through our districts right now. People are having to make those tough decisions day in and day out. So, okay, I got it.
Mr. McHugh, thank you very much for your time. Yep, we got to make some adjustments to our equipment real quick. So if you see some issues with the video, that's just us adjusting the camera as we adapt to changing weather conditions, because thankfully the rain let off here. And now John is trying to get some of the rain gear off of our camera that will allow for a little bit of a cleaner image and easier for him to manage. So you're being plunged into darkness right now as John pulls the literal hood over your head. But now it has freed the camera. And John, I can take that rain gear from you, so that way you're not juggling another thing. I'll just shove it here in my pocket. So if you need it again, that's where it'll be. I've got it. So already there, you heard from two people looking to be progressive champions in the United States Congress here from Michigan. We just heard from Donovan McKinney, who's running again to unseat an incumbent in the 13th Congressional District, and from Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, who is running for Senate here. Both, what are those similar themes that we hear them talking about? many over the money. That is a theme that El Sayed in particular has advanced. And issues like Medicare for all. These fights that have now been going on for a decade plus in the Democratic Party, depending on how you start that fight for better health care. I mean, you're talking about literal decades, nearly a century of that struggle here in the United States. And yet here is still, we are still not there. We are still not there. There's Representative McKinney was just there behind me doing more interviews with more press that were queuing up behind us. But we got it to you here first at Status Coup, so if you're watching this live stream, you're going to get it before any of those other creators and media figures get it out there, and that's the Status Coup guarantee, because we live on the ground in the places where once we commit to a story, we stay with it, and following these progressive races across the country is one of those stories that we have been following and will continue to follow, because like I said earlier in the stream, if you've just joined us, resetting, we are here in downtown Detroit, Michigan, where on Tuesday there is going to be a primary election, and we are watching specifically the Democratic primaries in a number of congressional races like the 13th Congressional District, but the big one is the Senate race here, where Dr. Abdul El Sayed is running as a progressive challenger to Chuck Schumer's hand-picked candidate in Representative Haley Stevens, who has benefited from tens of millions of dollars in outside funding, much of it from AIPAC. And we are looking to see what wins out here, as Dr. El Sayed frames it, the money or the many. And we will be live here every day from now through the election. So that's today, tomorrow, Tuesday. On Tuesday, we will be live from some of the campaign watch parties that will be happening here. I'm still working to figure out exactly which one we will be at. I'm 90% sure it will be Abdul El Sayed's, but there's always limited availability.
Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them we are the movement, mighty, mighty movement. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them we are the movement, mighty, mighty movement. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them we are the movement, mighty, mighty movement. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them. All right, this can go on forever. Well, let's make sure it doesn't go on forever.
So this march through downtown Detroit is This march through downtown Detroit is supposed to be a chance for El Sayed to, and some of the other candidates who are along the ride here with him, is a chance for them to meet everyday Michiganders. I think there's probably less of that happening than he probably would have liked, just because it has been, I believe the technical term is pissing rain much of the day, and it just let up here in the last hour or so. And now we're getting a little bit of a reprieve, but still not many people here on Detroit City streets. So we have seen, and we captured a few images of you there of Abdul El Sayed talking to folks as we went along. But hey, take lemons, make lemonade. That's just a chance for us to do longer interviews with these candidates, which we were able to bring to you until their staff told us to knock it off. So that's a good sign that we were really pushing things. That's how you know that we are good journalists here. It's that we wait till we're thrown out of a place to stop telling the story. We're seeing some people here, looks like coming out of the local restaurants and things down here in downtown Detroit. Now kind of watching on in a little bit of bemusement as this ragtag group makes its way through downtown Detroit. The planned endpoint for this march is the Spirit of Detroit statue, where there's going to be a press conference of some kind. Whatever it's going to be about, I have no idea. The campaign did not tell us. So we're just kind of along for the ride for that as well. But we'll bring you that, and then after we're done here, John and I are going to actually head out to another campaign event up in Warren, which is a suburb here of Detroit. That we'll be recording on. We're hoping to get some more interviews with more progressive candidates, as well as voters and organizers, about what has got them so energized and fired up about this election cycle, because there has been a lot of on-the-ground energy here. You can listen in on some of it here. Specifically, you hear the antipathy for AIPAC and its outside influence on this race and many others, not only in Michigan, but across the country. And there's being a lot made online, I think, about the, if AIPAC loses here, then it might be a sign that their national relevance in Democratic politics might be waning. Color me skeptical on that, but I think it would certainly send a message if Abdul were to lose, that AIPAC's money would have the ability to overcome the opinion, the overwhelming opinion of Democratic voters in this country, which has really turned on Israel in the wake of the genocide in Gaza. And we're coming up on the statue now, so the march is just about to a close. Do want to point out the laziness of a lot of corporate media involved in all of this coverage. Right before John and I went live, there were a few local television stations and some national outlets that were doing a little bit of a press scrum at the point where this march began, at a coffee shop where this march began. They did a little media, what's called a media scrum, where they all just gather real close around the candidate, shove microphones in his face, got sound bites out of him, and then they left. They did not stay to cover the march, to get longer individual interviews the way we have, profile other candidates, try to make the most of this moment. They did not. I worked in that local and corporate media space for years, and I can tell you how it works. It is a checklist. You drop in, you get your 12-second soundbite that you need to tell the story, and then you bounce, because you just are not paid to do more. And oftentimes, the product that is put on screen is specifically tailored to be palatable to corporate advertisers, which means framing things in very specific ways you can imagine. And we watched it happen in real time again today, not bothering to stay along for the ride of the whole rally, though I will say there's a lot of press out here. A lot of it, independent media, actually. And we have to tip our hats to our independent media friends who are out here. And John, it looks like the presser will be right behind you here at this podium, so we can go set up over there. So yeah, we're at the Spirit of Detroit statue. That's what John is pointing the camera at right now. And it's in the shadow of that statue where there'll be a press conference held. We see some UAW members for Abdul
Could we have you behind the podium in your UAW shirt?
Sure. Let me check. All right, you get set up.
And I haven't really paused to pay the bills here yet since the very beginning, so I'll do that really quick as John is getting us set up for this, to capture this press conference. Because you notice that here on our stream we never break for ads. We never say that this political campaign live stream is brought to you by Big Pharma or Enron or ExxonMobil. We never need to do that, thankfully, because of our supporting members who go to statuscoup.com/join, and for low as $5 a month go to sustain this important work on the ground that we are doing here and in other places around the country. Before, we were following progressive campaigns. We were reporting on data center projects around the country. And before that, we were following around ICE and Border Patrol. and documenting their many abuses in city after city around this country. That was work that cost us tens of thousands of dollars to do, and John and I were regularly tear gassed, shot at with pepper balls, pepper sprayed, and otherwise brutalized by local, state police, as well as, of course, those federal authorities in the form of ICE and Border Patrol, that secret police that operates here in plain view in the United States of America. But we're only able to offer that kind of real, on-the-ground coverage with the help of our members at Status Coup, who go to statuscoup.com/join and sign up to give us $5 a month. If you cannot afford an ongoing contribution, even $5, we understand. Times are tough. If you can afford a one-time donation, then a super chat is most welcome. Then short of that, liking and sharing this stream goes a long way to get this message out to more people. It actually does help quite a bit, boost this within the algorithm.
Depends on what they're using. If they have one of those megaphones,
Then we can. Then we'll be good. But
you could go closer to the podium.
all right.
Mr. Olson, how you doing? What's going on? Good.
Sorry, brother.
Mm-hmm. John, if you just want to pan back and forth really quick at the all the media that's out here now. Panning down the line. We're standing about in the middle of it. John's kind of giving you all of these cameras out here. A lot of it's independent media, a few local outlets, a few national. Do want to say another thank you to our partners for this live stream at Dropsite News, who are co-streaming this with us. We really appreciate having all of you guys here from Dropsite News, checking in on what we're doing here at Status Coup and being independent media, supporting each other across outlets. That kind of solidarity is important in progressive independent media. Should be more of it, and I'm glad that we can be the model of what's going on. So we have long admired the work that Dropsite does. We've had Ryan on our shows, of course, and featured his reporting and Jeremy's reporting and everybody else over there quite a bit. So couldn't be happier to have you guys all aboard and seeing the work that we do here at Status Coup as well.
We all left our tripods yesterday at Livernois, and they were perfectly fine when we all came back. But leave the tripod for 5 minutes in Chicago. Goodbye. Yeah. Where do you even pawn one of these? Yeah. Find a way. Yeah, those guys outside. I don't know. Yeah, every time they do the email file, I just get it.
Well, this one's
It's me. Still my own.
He's the most approachable.
I really threw my drone a few minutes ago. I got this. That doesn't quite hit the same.
Did you see that? Roger's question?
Welcome to Nikaic, S1H. Thank you for becoming a Status Coup member. Really appreciate it.
No. The other one, LA.
Just waiting for this press conference to get going. I decided I would pull open the chat and interact with some of you guys. Kinky Streets in our chat pointing out that Alyssa Slotkin's received nearly $500,000 in career lobbying money from the pro-Israel lobby. I mean, it is, and that's the other senator from Michigan, Alyssa Slotkin. And, I mean, it's not just her, right? There is this kind of influence all over Congress. And it's been at the center of a lot of these national debates that has resulted in this race in particular, the Senate race here in Michigan, being such a focus of what is happening.
Hello. Hey, y'all. We're going to start at 3 p.m., so about 10 minutes.
Okay, well, here we go.
Give like 10 more minutes, and we'll start soon. Thank you.
They're waiting to start the press conference until exactly 3, because that is when it was advertised. So I think they're just giving time in case more media outlets want to show up. Yeah, you can do that. Honestly, maybe Jolly.
What's up, man? Got him,
Jolly, you are a frequent face on Status Coup, so I don't think you need any introduction, but we are streaming to a little bit of a new audience today because we got Drop Site News people here with us as well. Want to introduce yourself really quick?
Sure. I'm a pissed-off American combat veteran from the mountains of North Carolina, and I believe in the message that Abdul al-Sayed, the Working Families Party, and other people across the country that are winning these elections, I believe the message, which is quite simple. You know, get the money out of politics, put the money back into the taxpayers' pockets, spend the money that we are already paying on health care and houses. That's not a radical message, right? Like, I tell people all the time, like, we know what the radical right looks like because we're living through it. We're watching them operate. We're watching this internal coup d'etat happen in real time. That's what the radical right looks like. The radical left looks like housing and health care. So then call me radical. But spending, $1 billion a day on a war in Iran, spending all the money we spend on our defense budget, which is massive, and then telling us how we're going to pay for health care. It's enough. It's enough. It's a facade. At this point in time, we know that's bullshit, right? We know the truth behind it. We know that capitalism is the problem. It's time to be big enough and old enough to say that, right? It's time to stop being scared of the word socialism. Maybe even learn what it is, right, before you get bitch about it. And I believe that what people like Abdul and Donovan McKinney and Chris Rabb out in Philadelphia And I can make a long list, but you get it,
Right.
you know.
Well, I mean, the
believe
point
what
of
they're
it being a long list, though, is why come here to this? You know, you say there's a long list. There's a lot of candidates that you could be out supporting right now. Why was it important for you to come out here and, you know, be part of this independent media sphere that is covering Abdul's race in particular?
Well, I like to go to as many as I can and move around when I can. But specifically, this one caught my attention. Haley Stevens is being backed by all the establishments, getting backed by AIPAC, all the corporate money. And I just know, like, I've always heard my whole life, follow the money. And so the money's going to go into the pockets of the people. It's going to keep the money in the pockets of the people that gave it to you, right? So when I see that much money being spent on Haley Stevens, that lets me know Abdul al-Sayed must be onto something. So when I look him up, he is. And I think that, you know, he's going to go to the Senate. Only 100 senators out of 350 million Americans. I might not be from Michigan. He might not be my senator. But he's making decisions that will affect me. You're a federal representative. And so I come here, stand in solidarity with the people of Detroit, people of Michigan, and get behind this message that I think if we get enough people in our governing body, Medicare for All is a very realistic future for us. So I think we got to support everybody and get it done.
Let's lay out the stakes a little bit for people. So tell me, what is the message sent if Abdul al-Sayed wins here on Tuesday versus if he loses?
I think the message is already being sent. And I think that, you know, what we're going to see on Tuesday is we're going to see an al-Sayed victory if you get out and vote. And you have to get out and vote. If you just assume ahead of time that he's won, he loses. Get out and fucking vote. But I think when we do see a Abdul al-Sayed victory, what we're going to see is yet another march across America in this movement of pissed off working class people. You know, they try to, just like Maurice was just saying a minute ago from the Working Families Party, people try to say it's a New York thing. Oh, it's a coastal thing. It's a California thing. But then it happens in Denver. Then it happens now where it's happening in Detroit. It's a working class thing. It's not a Dem thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a party thing. It's billionaires versus everybody. And if you're not a billionaire, then you're on the wrong side unless you're on our side.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jolly. I really appreciate the time, as always.
Man,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jolly Good Ginger. He is. If you don't, you should follow him on Instagram and other platforms. Look him up. Goes to a lot. You know, you heard me make reference there at the top of our interview that, oh, you need no introduction. We talk to you a lot here at Status Coup, but if you guys are new here into you know, what we do, we have seen Jolly at so many different scenes, whether it be at the ICE crackdown in Chicago or the invasion of Minneapolis and the occupation of that city and that state in Minnesota. And of course, at so many events that John has been to in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere across the country, it's people like Jolly and activists like him that we try to lift up their voices because they are the ones actually out there doing the work, actually on the ground, actually trying to do organizing and messaging, etc.
I did not. I know that. What his sound about Jolly.
Pardon me for just a second here, folks. Mouth is very dry. Take a quick drink of water. I'll be right back. So when we set out from the coffee shop, right before we left, Rashida Tlaib was there, among other progressive elected officials. And I was just trying to take stock of who is here now, if she is back in this crowd, because she referenced that she would be here at this press conference and that she would not be doing the march, and I did not see her on the march, but now I'm trying to see who's all here for progressive media figures standing just off to the side of the podium. Right now I just see Abdul al-Sayed, I see Donovan McKinney, but it's kind of a morass of people, a lot of people with their backs to us, so I was kind of hoping to give you a preview of who's going to be here. Daniel Hatch, 2853, gave us $20. Thank you, Daniel. I wish you would have put a message with it. I would have loved to talk to you a little bit. So thank you for your support there for Status Coup. Like I said, every little bit helps, and we don't, that money is not wasted, that is for sure. It goes into paying for the plane tickets to get out here, paying for the hotel costs to be on the ground here, paying for food so John and I can eat, and paying for camera equipment. Today it bought us a couple of umbrellas and ponchos, keep ourselves dry. Thankfully it's not raining now, but it was at the start of the march. Yeah, in a sign of the times for Detroit, what you're looking at used to be the GM Center here along the waterfront in downtown Detroit. But if you look all the way up at the top, and I think John is panning up there now and showing you, the GM logo is gone. It is replaced by the Marriott logo. So Detroit, the Motor City, its marquee building, probably its most recognizable architectural feature, no longer an auto company. It's a hotel chain. And if that is not just a state of where the American economy is today, I don't know what is. Gone is the manufacturing sector that used to support an entire middle class, union jobs in this country, and it's replaced, at least in logo, by the service industry, hotels, entertainment.
You still got casino.
But you
that's actually Canada.
Oh yeah, John's pointing the camera into Canada and saying, but you still got casinos. We actually do have a casino not too far from where our hotel is, John. So, it's the American economy is all gambling in the service sector. And you are called greedy for saying, hey, maybe I can get health care as like a trade. You can have my union manufacturing job and my way of life, and in exchange, maybe you at least give me health care, please. And then your elected officials tell you, yeah, but how are we going to pay for it? We can't tax the rich. They might move. And wouldn't that be awful? If you appreciate journalism that speaks truth to power like that, where we're not afraid to call it like it is, that there is just a handful of oligarchs who control and run this country, go to statuscoup.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go to keep us here on the ground. And it looks like we're just about to start. It is 3 o'clock now, so I think this press conference is just about to get underway. And depending on what the sound situation is like, I might be running the microphone up by the podium. But if this speaker works as well as it seems like it's going to, then I won't need to do that, and you might hear me occasionally interject on the microphone. Woo! A lot of feedback on that speaker.
I wish.
Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. That's way better.
Hopefully, if he gets into office,
Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Louder. Good sound? Awesome. Alrighty. Woo.
Where's Evan James? There he is. We did, yeah, just now. No, we just did it when we were saying. We just said it was tough. That was really all. That was all I needed. We just needed 2 grown adults to just swing the playground and like say stuff. Yeah, but not too far.
I wish.
Yeah, no, he always one actually. I literally just got. It won't like actually.
So.
I promise I will.
that's what all the people are wearing, like not flats.
You got like a good inch on your shoes. 3 o'clock. He said 3 o'clock. You lied. You're okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Would you?
Oh, can you?
You can ride swings, but it takes more power. Like I
I stand like right in front of you.
Right here, just for like 5 minutes.
Abdul is supposed to go.
I'm moving.
You're live. There's going to be, hey friends, he's supposed to start any second. Abdul's going to speak. We got Donovan McKinney here. But it is.
I don't know, there's another guy who just won from another state.
Oh. Never mind. I thought it was.
And I can't think of his name. Oh, I just felt the ring. Or Birch. One of the two. Could be Birch. Friends, we are in Detroit, right at the spirit of Detroit. We walked from Anthropology Coffee all the way here in the spirit of democracy and this grassroots movement. Today's your last day of voting. If you haven't voted yet, you can do that today. If you don't do it today, you gotta wait till the 4th.
Apologize for the dead air, but I keep expecting this press conference to get going, and then it's not. We were told it was going to start right at the top of the hour.
I'm like, what is it doing? I'm like, oh, wait.
Seeing a lot of people either from Michigan or sending love to Michigan in the chat.
Okay, friends, before, while we're waiting, we'll just kind of... Hold on, zoom out. Trying to zoom out.
There's no elegance with this stuff.
There isn't. There isn't.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm standing here with Blair, Cat Ladies for America. She's next to me. Jolly's over there on her. Matt's recording. He almost fell.
Breaking news.
Yes, that really is my cousin. It really is.
Now I'm going to film you filming them, and then you can film me filming you. How did you ruin your life by getting involved in social media politics?
Thank you to Kathleen, who gave us $15 super chat and said, "Thank you, Status Coup, for covering these Michigan races. Money out of politics, money in your pockets, and healthcare for all. Sending support for Dr. El Sayed and Mr. McKinney. Let's go, Michigan." I do want to pause, Kathleen, while you give me an excellent segue, because I should be talking more about that money and politics figure. You heard me mention it earlier in the stream if you've been with us the whole time. If not, well, Haley Stevens has benefited from tens of millions of dollars flowing into this race, much of it from AIPAC. And that is kind of the central division here. The central division here in this race, and you've heard El Sayed even here on this stream really call that out. He's been using this phrase, money versus many. And he is very much of the opinion that the many, meaning a movement of people, can beat the money, meaning the side that has the monetary interest on its side. And this is reporting from Mother Jones that, quote, more than $60 million of outside spending has poured into the Michigan Senate contest, according to records from the Federal Election Commission and the Federal Communications Commission. The vast majority has come from super PACs that, unlike El Sayed's and Stevens' own campaigns, can accept unlimited donations. And we have Citizens United to thank for that reality that we are in. We have done so much coverage of that here on Status Coup about the way that money flows into our politics on both sides, the way that both political parties are bought and paid for, with only a few notable exceptions. And Abdul El Sayed, from what we know so far about his campaign finance reports, would be very much in that same vein. So, or meaning that he would not want to be a politician who is bought and paid for. So that is why I think there is so much intense interest in this race. The biggest spender by far in Michigan is the United Democracy Project, a super PAC backed by the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee. That's what AIPAC stands for. And that works to elect pro-Israel candidates. The United Democracy Project has spent more than $30 million, that's $30 million backing Stevens, so half of all of the outside spending that has benefited Stevens has been from AIPAC. What was that? Oh, yeah. Yep. That's Ayanna Pressley over there. Yeah, so we've got, yeah, you're seeing, I was referencing how it's kind of a who's who of progressive politics out here. We have Ayanna Pressley as well as Rashida Tlaib. And you actually might be able to see better than me with John's camera being a little bit higher over the heads if there are more people standing with them. But again, it just shows how, you know, these progressive movements from around the country really see their work as bound together. The ability to be able to pass ambitious policy like Medicare for All, raising the minimum wage, is not something that is done through one election. It's done through a series of elections and then more political pressure besides. So that is why you see so many of these politicians turning out here, and we actually know that there's going to be more out at other events we're going to be covering. Some of those will be covered live, so again, another reason to get subscribed here to Status Coup, so you are notified, and hit the bell icon so that you are notified as soon as we go live. Donovan McKinney now giving high fives to the people who have been standing so patiently as the backdrop for this press conference as a way to try and rouse them as the presser now starts to get underway. But yeah, all of these politicians really see themselves as bound together. They're dealing with the same outside spending. They all, I believe, at some point or other in their political campaigns have dealt with. They have all at some point been targeted by AIPAC spending. So, but it's not just anti-AIPAC, right? It's also that pro-working class agenda, that Medicare for all, living wage. You know, you go down the list of policies, many of which Abdul al-Sayed is running for, and you see all of these other progressive candidates now standing side by side with him, standing behind him, or starting to move there to show solidarity and try to support him to grow their movement and try to create something of a political mandate in this country for real change, not just the fiddling around the edges neoliberalism that has dominated American political discourse for decades, century, really since the New Deal era. Thank you to Hi Ezra, who gave us $10 and says the work that truly independent media like yours is doing is vital to the survival of our democracy. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you, Ezra, for that support. $10 goes a long way. You would not believe how we can stretch that here at Status Coup. We do agonize over what we spend our money on. And we got 20 euros from Chocoladem Blum. I am sure I butchered that. I apologize, but 20 euros. We appreciate that. Not sure what that is in United Corporations of America dollars, but thank you.
We're going to kick things off. Abdul, go ahead.
Money out of? Politics! Money in your? Pocket! Medicare for? All! Y'all, I can't tell you how grateful I am to be joined my fellow Michiganders, by a community of folks from all over our country who believe in a movement to get money out of politics. Turn on the microphone. All right, y'all. Money out of politics. Money in your pocket. Medicare for all. Microphones on. It is just such a privilege to be here with a community of folks, our Michiganders, and folks from all over the country who understand that we got to get money out of politics, put money in our pockets, pass Medicare for all, and understand that that movement starts here in Michigan. We are here part of the spirit of Detroit. And Detroit, for me and my family, has meant so much. It's the place my father immigrated back in 1978 because he wanted to make cars. And he understood that there was no better place in the world to do that than right here in Detroit. And Detroit... They're on their way to vote right now. He understood that there was no better place in the world to do that than here in Detroit, where we also understood that it wasn't just cars that we were making, but it was whole lives. We're here joined with folks from the UAW who taught us how both to sit down and to stand up for a good middle-class life. The idea that somebody who works a full day's work should also earn a full day's wages. That's right here in Detroit. There's also a place that's been welcoming people for God knows how long. You think about the history of the Great Migration. Black folk coming from the South to work on the line here in Detroit. You think about people coming from all over the world, being welcomed to these shores to work on that line to build both the cars that we are synonymous for and the lives that were made possible because of the union movement here in Detroit. Detroit's also the place that I got to come home to back in 2015 to rebuild the health department after they shut it down. I don't know how many times I walked into this building, usually with a ton to do and a ton to think about. They shut down a 185-year-old health department in a city with a higher infant mortality rate than my father's native Egypt. We, working alongside Detroiters, got to rebuild it. Rebuild it to do things, to put glasses on kids, take on corporate polluters, make sure that our kids weren't drinking leaded water in their schools. I'm never going to forget walking into a classroom in the middle of the winter, first grade classroom, where you've got icicles hanging from the ceiling and children bundled up because the boiler had broken weeks ago. And yet, those kids, they demonstrated the best of the grit and the earnestness that makes Detroit what it is in their learning anyway. And also, their experience highlights all of the ways that our government has let Detroiters and Michiganders down. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people shouldn't mean that first graders are learning in a classroom that's got icicles in it. It should mean that that school is state of the art, that they've got teachers who are paid a living wage, that they've got all the paraprofessionals that they need, but that's not what those kids got. And it's a function of a set of choices that are too often made for us by the likes of corporations and billionaires and special interests who too often get to dictate, dominate our politics. I got to work in that building right there on the 10th floor. I'm never going to forget the day that they froze federal funds. I'm sitting in an office literally with the window overlooking the river. And I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that families don't lose their WIC check next week when they froze federal funds. Trying to make sure that vaccines go into arms, trying to make sure that our federally qualified health centers don't get shut down. And I get a notification on my phone that after his long career, our current U.S. Senator Gary Peters was retiring. And I had to ask myself where the fight for the public's health goes now. Since then, we kicked off a campaign that took us all over this great state and back. 110 different cities, 500, I got the memo, 505 public events. Hearing from Michiganders in their VFW halls, in their living rooms, in their backyards, in their basements, about what it was that they dreamed of, what it was that they wanted. In so many ways, as I think about it, it's exactly the things that my dad dreamed of when he came to this country back in 1978. That folks could come together around the ideals of this country, build the things that we need and deserve. And as I think about what Michigan, Detroit gave me, the opportunity to go to incredible public schools, the incredible public university I got to go to 45 minutes away, medical education paid for by the National Institutes of Health, a federal agency. And as I think about what kids in these communities too often get denied, this movement that we're building, built in the hopes and the dreams and the aspirations of the people we got to meet all over the state. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Money out of politics. Money back in pockets. Medicare for all. It's fitting that we're all here. A movement that unites Michiganders with Americans of all stripes who believe that the crossroads to the world that we want to build comes right through here. And on Tuesday, Michiganders are going to go to the polls. Michiganders are going to pick their nominee. Michiganders are going to decide that it's high past time for us to move past the cynical politics that allows $70 million to come in and bombard you through your eyeballs and eardrums on television, on every single screen you possibly can see, lying to you to convince you what you cannot have and should not fight for. They're going to come together to build the kind of Michigan that is about those hopes and dreams that I got to hear from Michiganders in their own words in rooms all over this state. That we finally want to get money out of politics. We finally want to take our democracy back. We finally want to end the tyranny of Citizens United. We finally want to pass the PRO Act to guarantee union rights in every single walk of work in American life. We finally want to tax billionaires their wealth so we can provide for schools. We finally want to stand up to corporate oligopolies and monopolies and actually enforce our antitrust laws so we can actually get to something called capitalism again. We finally want to keep our tax dollars here rather than send them somewhere else to fight wars we have no business fighting, do genocides we should not be subsidizing, backstop apartheid that should not exist in the first place. We want our money here, spent on schools here, spent on roads and bridges here, spent to provide health care here. And we finally want health care for everyone through Medicare for all. So I'm just so deeply honored to be here with my fellow Michiganders and my fellow Americans who believe in a government of, by, and for the people. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to hand it off. Isha?
Next up, we have Yusuf Jackson.
Thank you very much. Let me express my thanks to the Muslim Civic Coalition and the campaign of Dr. Abdul El-Sayed for inviting me back to Michigan again. Michigan at one level feels like home. In 1988, my father ran a historic campaign for president, the Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, and we won Michigan. That's right. We've since then had an office in Michigan. We do an amazing automotive project here once a year, along with a King breakfast the day of Martin Luther King's celebrated birthday. If my father was here, he would say, we've never lost a fight when we chose to fight. But in order to win, you have to fight. In order to win, you have to fight. Working class families are working harder than ever and falling further and further behind. That's not a function of their efforts. That's a function of policy choices. As Dr. King would have it, Dr. King said that we should be able to educate children as much as their mind can absorb. It's a shame that working class people have to choose between health insurance and trying to stay healthy, gaming the system. I won't be sick because it's summertime, so they don't pay health insurance premiums. These are policy choices that we have been making that are putting people further and further behind. My father used to say that there are hospital beds waiting for the wealthy to get sick while the poor can't afford to get health care. And that's a shame in the richest country in the world. The Rainbow Push Coalition's mission is to protect, defend, and gain civil rights, level the economic playing field for all people in America. And that's what we do. And so I can't imagine not being here today when you look at the landscape that we're facing. These are absolutely existential times. There's probably never been a time as dangerous for us in this country in the last 60 years, 3 generations of people, the time of my great and great grandparents. Why is that? In my lifetime, I was born in 1970, I've never lived a day without civil rights protections and without voting rights protections. This takes us back to a time of Jim Crow. And when that was first initiated through Plessy versus Ferguson, it was a violent uprising in our country that precipitated lynchings and lawlessness around the country. Well, we're going to organize and we're going to register and we're going to mobilize. We'll never, ever let that happen again because we're going to fight for it. But my brother Jonathan, who was born in 1966, is the first generation of African Americans ever born into citizenship. Think about that. Until 1966, African Americans were not full citizens with equal rights under the law, the right to vote, and civil rights protections. And now we find those protections have been weakened and neutered. So I can't imagine being any place but right here. Why? Because we have to stand up now like we've never stood up before. I say in 1965, when we got our freedoms and we got our equal protection under the law, we got our Civil Rights Act, we got our Voting Rights Act, we all went and took freedom in different directions. Well, the Calais decision put us all back in the same boat. And so now we row together towards freedom, or we don't ride towards freedom at all. And that's why we have to have the cultural maturity to build coalition with our Muslim brothers and sisters, with our Jewish brothers and sisters, African Americans and immigrants and Haitians, all working together, the majority. My father would say that the American polity is less like a melting pot and more like a quilt. Small patches of individual pieces of textures and colors weave together with a common thread. And together, our threads and our patches are the majority. Separated, our patch is too small to be as significant. So the 14% of African Americans and the 17% of Hispanics and the Muslims and the Asians and Native Americans can come together and we can be the majority and we can make policy decisions. Sobering news. If we leave this earth tonight, our children have fewer rights in civil rights and human rights and economic opportunity than we did. And that is something that the Rainbow Push Coalition and all of our allies and advocates can never ever let happen. So we have to work tirelessly in this election, on this Tuesday and the next 13 Tuesdays, to see a change in our government, a change in our culture, in a way that we've never done before. We have no time for egoism or to be separated. The churches must come together. The Divine Nine must come together. The Hispanic organizations must come together. We must find more common ground than we find problems with each other. So I offer to you our body and our spirit and every advocate in the Rainbow Coalition to support your mission, sir. Keep hope alive.
Voice of God. Next up is Maurice Mitchell.
My name is Maurice Mitchell. I'm the National Director of the Working Families Party. And if you don't know the Working Families Party, we are a political party fighting to make government work for regular working people. Not just the ultra wealthy, not just the concerns of APAC, AI, crypto, but everyday people. And we do that by championing candidates like Abdul al-Sayed, like Donovan McKinney, who aren't funded by corporate utility companies and big pharma and war profiteers. And I've been to churches and coffee shops. I had the wonderful opportunity to be with Abdul and his wife and representatives Ayanna Presley and Summer Lee, and got to sit with and be with the people of Detroit and listen to them and hear how from the grassroots this movement is resonating with people across race, across religion. People in this country are fired up. Something historic is happening in Michigan. I can feel it in my bones. And people are ready for a new kind of politics, a politics free of corporate bailouts and billionaire giveaways, free of billionaires spending millions of dollars to handpick their candidates of choice. And listen, the wind is moving. That is the spirit. That is momentum. Can you feel that momentum? All right, we're going to feel it on Tuesday. And that's why Michiganders are responding so intensely right now. When there's a distress call on an airplane, what do the passengers say? What do the flight crews say? They say, is there a doctor on board? Well, right now, our democracy is in distress. And maybe the solution to the problem is sending a doctor to the Senate. So my brother Abdul has spent his entire career fighting to improve the health of our communities. He's proven time and again that as a doctor, as a public health practitioner, and as a government official, he will always fight to improve the health of our families. And in this campaign, he's showing every day that he will fight to protect our democracy. And Abdul isn't taking a dime from corporate PACs. He refuses to be beholden to wealthy donors. He is not afraid to stand up against party leaders and the political establishment when that establishment is not putting the interests of the people first. That is the sort of leader we need in this country at this time. But we all know that Abdul can't do it alone. He's going to need backup in D.C., and that's why the Working Families Party has been working hard to elect new leaders to Congress from every corner of the country. So here in Michigan, it means electing folks like Donovan McKinney in Detroit, Will Lawrence in Lansing. Across the country, it's meant electing folks like Rep. Rabb in Pennsylvania, like Malak Carroll in Denver, like Brad Lander in New York. Leaders who understand the stakes of this moment and understand that business as usual will no longer cut it. So I am proud. I am so proud to be here to represent the Working Families Party across the country and the chapter that we're building here in Michigan in order to make sure that these candidates on Tuesday shock the world and we continue to build a movement for freedom and justice for everyone. Thank you.
Alrighty, next. Yeah, next up is Toya from local 869.
Good afternoon. My name is Toya Pennell, and I'm a proud member of UAW Local 869, where I've worked for 16 years. I'm proud to stand here with our community members and my union family to support a candidate willing to fight for the future we deserve. As a UAW member, I know that we only get what we fight for. Too many politicians tell us what we can't have and what we can't do. They sound more like management. Abdul is ready to fight for what working class families deserve, and we deserve better. Our families deserve to be able to afford to keep our lights on, not politicians who take big checks from DTE. Our families deserve Medicare for all, not fearing that getting sick could bankrupt them. Our families deserve wages and a secure retirement, not working 2 or 3 jobs to survive until our bodies give up. When I think about the future for my son RJ and my daughter Renaya, I want them to have a beautiful life. I want them to feel like they have a country where they will be treated fairly, where we can have justice, and where they can afford to have a good life. As a mother, I know Abdul is a candidate that I can that I can trust to fight for my family.
There you go.
That's why I've been making phone calls and knocking on doors every day with my UAW sisters and brothers. We're fighting to get the senator we deserve, who will fight for the future we dream of. We get what we deserve by fighting for it together. We're fighting for Abdul and Donnie McKinney because we know they will fight for us. Thank you.
Alrighty, next up from the Mighty 13 is Donovan McKinney.
What up, though? Hey, listen, man. Welcome to the city of Detroit. Welcome to the 13th District. It's just an honor and privilege to be right here in front of you all. Again, my name is Donovan McKinney. I serve as a state representative in the poorest House District in Michigan. $14,000 is the median income of my current district. If you break that down by 12 months, that's a little over $1,200 a month. When groceries are at an all-time high, gas prices as well, auto insurance, health insurance, child care costs, you name it. The everyday costs of the working people have just gone up and the wages have stayed stagnant. I'm running to represent the 5th poorest congressional district in the country. And just like my current state house district, it's the same issues that people are going through. Doesn't matter the race of a person, doesn't matter where they live, whether it's in inner city Detroit or the suburbs of downriver. Doesn't matter who they love or how they worship. All I hear across our communities is that I don't have enough resources to survive. How I define politics? It's pretty simple. It's the redistribution of resources. When we have to take our taxpayer money to send it overseas for bombs and weapons to kill families and children, to support genocide, I think that's a damn shame. When we start forever wars out of nowhere in Iran, spending billions of dollars a day on average, and you're telling me the people in my district, the seniors, our children, our most vulnerable populations, can't get the resources they deserve, I don't think that's an America anyone wants us to live in. Am I right? So in order to change it, we have to fight back. We have to go vote. Voting starts today. Early voting. You can vote until 5 p.m. at any of your early voting sites. Election day is in 2 days, y'all. Tuesday, August 4th. We need y'all to go get this vote out. And we need to make sure that people utilize their voices by utilizing their vote. Because it's an old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's our opportunity to get not only our country back, but our democracy back, leaders in the world we all want and deserve. And I'll say this, and I'll drop the mic. I have a beautiful wife at home, 3 amazing children, ages 4 and younger. I have 2 baby boys, 4 and 2, and a baby girl that's 11 months old. And lo and behold, she runs the whole show. And when I leave the house every day, I just think about the future we're leaving them. Not only for my children, but all of our children and the grandkids and the generations that are coming after us. This is the movement and the fight we all need to be in. The stakes are high. But I'll say this, organized people beat organized money every single time. And we got fighters here with us, man. We got a real movement. People think this is just a coast-to-coast movement, just from the New Yorks, the New Jerseys, the Pennsylvanias, the Californias. No, Michiganders are ready for this fight. And they deserve this movement as well. And I guarantee we're going to win. But we need your help to do it. So with that being said, I'll pass the mic. It's just an honor. I'm just honored to support Abdul El-Sayed. We are running together on a platform that ends Citizens United, get all corporate monopoly money out of our politics, make sure we get Medicare for all, universal free child care, and put money back in your pockets. Thank you so much for your time. God bless.
All right. Next up is Congresswoman Analilia Mejia from New Jersey.
Hello, Michiganders. Am I saying it right? Yeah. All right. My name's Analilia Mejia. I think I'm the newest member of Congress. I've been in office for just around 100 days, y'all. So you know I know everything. I have to say that I am so proud to stand here with this incredible group of fighters in support and in alignment with one of the most hardest working, genuine, yes, he's a doctor, but he's also an organizer that Michiganders deserve. I've been in this political game for 25 years. I may have only been in Congress for 2.5 months, but for 25 years, I've been working, fighting on behalf of working families. The honor and the privilege to have run New Jersey working families, because the Working Families Party is what's up. The honor and the privilege of working for Senator Sanders on his presidential run. And the honor and the privilege to sit in office and represent the people of New Jersey's 11th Congressional District. And I have to say that in the short amount of time that I've been in Congress, I need to speak to you, Michiganders. See, big money in politics is the problem. See, your representatives spend so much time calling, appeasing, dancing for dollars that they don't have time for you. They spend so much time worried about whether or not their big donor is going to be okay with their vote that you're the last thought for most. Not for these here, though. Let me say, present company excluded. All right? In the 25 years that I have served and fought and scraped for working families, let me tell you that one of the most generous individuals, thoughtful individuals that I have met, that I've had the honor and the privilege to meet, is Abdul Al-Sayed. See, Abdul would never call up and say, I need you to do this, or I demand that you do that. See, Abdul would call and say, how can I help? How can I move this message? How can I help people? How can I get things done? Michigan, that's what you want in the Senate. Ahora en español bien rápido, mis compañeros. Yo represento el Distrito 11 en New Jersey y vine aquí porque quiero que ustedes entiendan que el problema que tenemos en nuestra política es el dinero rige. El dinero es que manda. El dinero es lo primero que sus representantes piensan en vez de ustedes cuando votan. Pero tienen una oportunidad a mandar un doctor, un organizador y una persona de valores. Y ese es el doctor Abdul Al-Sayed. So, qué placer. Voten bien. Vote right, Michiganders. And I hand it back to the voice of God.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I want to give a warm welcome back to the Congresswoman from Pennsylvania, Summer Lee.
Michiganders, it's always good to be here. I'm proud to be with you from far away in Pennsylvania, a fellow swing state, a fellow industrial town, and a fellow union town, where we understand what real people power looks like, and that's why I'm here today. Let me just tell you really quickly, because you know what, the message is repetitive because we have message discipline in this place. So I know you already know the message, but if I could share a story. When I was first running for Congress back in 2022, a long time ago, I was one of the first candidates in the nation to meet a new super PAC called the United Democracy Project. We didn't yet know who that super PAC was, who the donors behind it were. We had to do real quick work to figure it out. But I can tell you that before that, we had a race, an honorable race between multiple people in an open seat, how it should be. It was a marketplace of ideas where the people of our district got to hear what they wanted without and before disinformation. But let me tell you what the power of money can do. Within 1 week, they had spent $1 million, the second another, and then the third yet another. $3.5 million they spent in my race, not including money that they spent directly for a candidate. That doesn't seem like a lot now, but it was a precursor to what we would experience. From that time on, it's only gotten worse. From my election with 3.5 to the election right after me of $8 million to last cycle where they spent and broke records for the most expensive House primaries in the nation in Jamal Bowman's district and then Cori Bush's district. And now today where they have spent $67 million, $30 million from UDP, but $67 million to tell you how you should think, who you should care most about, whose issues you should prioritize. And I promise you, rarely is it you who they actually have in mind. We heard from Ana Lilia Mejia what it feels like to have money in your district. I can tell you, I'm not from Detroit, but I remember what it felt like. I remember what it felt like to watch disinformation abound, watch disinformation change people who once were hopeful about elections and what we can do in our campaigns to feeling disenfranchised because they could not trust that anybody had their best interests at heart. But that's what these dollars are meant to do. I introduced my Abolish Super PACs Act because we must get money out of politics. But that's just the beginning. Why I'm here in Detroit today is because we're here to build a politics beyond. A politics beyond the fear, the division, the lies, the hatred, the exclusion of politics beyond black versus white or Jewish versus Muslim or Detroit versus Pittsburgh. A politics that says that we all in the wealthiest nation on earth can have Medicare for all. Money out of politics and in your pocket. That we can all in the wealthiest nation on earth send our kids to schools that they deserve to be in, where they can learn and grow and live and survive, because no longer do we have to worry about the proliferation of guns, because we could handle that once we've gotten money out of politics. My colleague was right. Money out of politics is the biggest issue, but it isn't the stop. It's the start. Right now, Michigan, you have the ability to send champions. We have a generational challenge that we're facing at every level of government, from the White House to my house and the State House and Congresses and everywhere in between. But right now, we need people who are ready to meet this moment. I didn't hesitate to support Abdul Al-Sayed or Donovan McKinney because I know, because they show us what they stand for, because they've shown us all this time who they are here to fight for, and that's the working people of Michigan. Because they recognize that from Michigan to Pennsylvania and everywhere else that we have and we are one people who knows that we can and must and deserve better, that we will no longer be limited by the fear of others who are not built for this moment. But this moment is ours to shape. I believe that a better world is not just possible, it's inevitable, but only if we fight for it. This election on Tuesday is our opportunity to fight for the world that we believe in, to fight for the leaders who are going to prioritize us and our needs, and we cannot let it pass us by. In 2 days, Michigan has the ability to send not just two, but two incredible fighters in Abdul and Donovan. Yeah. They will go to a Congress with not a lot, but enough people who are ready to set the standard. A new standard that we are building every single day. One that says no more endless wars, no genocides abroad, no hungry children at home. And we can only have that if you go to the polls. So from someone from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I'm asking you to go to the polls, to take a friend, to work your plan, to tell somebody else and bring a friend. But whatever you do, please get out and vote for Abdul Al-Sayed, for Donovan McKinney, and for everybody else who puts you first, Michiganders.
Alrighty. Next up, all the way from Massachusetts, is Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley.
I got my church clothes on. All right. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. I represent the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District. I was elected in 2018. Wait, can y'all hear me? No? It went out? Mic check, mic check. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. I represent the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District. I was elected in 2018, unseating a nearly 20-year incumbent. A week out from Election Day, they had us down in the polls by 13 points. We won by decisive 18, not taking corporate PAC money or APAC money. We ran on a platform to cancel student debt, Medicare for all, to abolish ICE. And in that time, though they tried to radicalize and marginalize that agenda, that movement has multiplied. And so too have the candidates who have run on that platform and been able to capture the imagination and to mobilize a nation. Do you know why? Because the problems are so deep.
The problems are so deep that they warrant and demand solutions that go as broad and as deep as the hurt. Now, I represent a district in a 3-mile radius from Cambridge, home to MIT and Harvard, to Roxbury's Nubian Square, a historically black district neighborhood in my district. Life expectancy drops by 30 years, median household income by $50,000. That is the result of divestment. That is the result of policy violence. Coretta Scott King said, consent for the working man is violence. Starving a hungry child is violence. Medical neglect is violence. We are experiencing policy violence on steroids. And all the people who mean us harm are working together, which is why all those who are being harmed must work together in this moment. I came here from Massachusetts because our destinies are tied from Massachusetts to Michigan. And because I'm here to change the things I can no longer accept, like sending bills from the House to the Senate to die. Yes. Well, a certain death. So this is not just about Abdul and Donovan and both of these men of conscience meeting the moment. This is not just about meeting the moment and enduring the next 2.5, 3 years. We are writing and determining the next 100. We just marked our 250th anniversary here. The next 250 have to look different. And that's why we need Abdul in the Senate. That's why we need Donnie in Congress. In the Senate, we need this fighter. We need this father. We need this disruptor. We need this innovator who knows that our greatest wealth as a nation is the health of our people. So that is why I'm here, and just to remind folks of your power in this moment. Who you vote for determines who's elected. Who's elected determines the policies, and the policies determine everything. There you go. Like my sister said, another world is possible if we're willing to fight for it. If we're willing to vote for it. Democrats can't just stand before you and say, we ain't him. We need to talk about who we are and affirm what we're willing to fight for. And that's exactly why this movement is resonating with so many. And finally, I want to say this. The attacks against Abdul are not just against Abdul. They want to make an example of him because they want to send a message to this multiracial democracy, this movement, this class solidarity, this intergenerational movement. But if we do our job, it'll be a teachable moment. It'll be a teachable moment for this party. It'll be a teachable moment for this nation. It'll be a teachable moment for every member of our community that right now is making choices between gas and groceries, housing and healthcare, rationing, asthma inhalers, and insulin. We can do better. And that's why we're here. All right.
Alrighty. Next up to close us off is future Congressman Dr. Adam Hamaway from New Jersey.
How you doing, everyone? I'm Dr. Adam Hamaway. I'm the Democratic nominee in New Jersey, NJ12. And just 2 months ago, I won a very crowded, difficult primary, and here I am today working to make sure that when I get to Congress, I have people that I could work with that will actually get bills passed. It's not enough just to win. This is why we have everyone around the country here, is because we need a Congress that actually works for the people. And when I started running a few months ago, I was told that I didn't ask for permission, that why am I running, who are you? But I run an unabashed campaign on healthcare, not bombs, unrigging the economy, and to abolish ICE, and we won. And then after that, we saw victories in New York, and we had victories in Philadelphia, and we had victories in Colorado. And on Tuesday, we are going to see victories here in Michigan with Abdul and Donovan. We need big money out of politics. Why are they spending $70 million? What are they worried about? What are they worried about? They are worried about someone not afraid to say, get big money out of politics. someone not afraid to put money in your pockets, someone who is not afraid to stand up and fight and get universal health care like Medicare for all. And we need people who are not afraid to call a genocide a genocide. And so we need you all to get out to vote. That's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter if it's $50 million, $70 million, $100 million. In the end, it's your votes that are going to get them in office. So you need to vote for Abdul. You need to vote for Donovan. You need to get your friends, your family. You need to get everyone out to the polls who hasn't gone out there. Everyone who has an absentee ballot still sitting at home to get out there today and Tuesday so that they could win. And then we could finally see a change. Thank you very much.
Can we give it up for our incredible speakers here? I am just so grateful for a coalition of folks who've come to Michigan because they understand that Michigan right now is the center of the political universe, because our people need and deserve health care. Our people need and deserve a fair pay for a fair day's labor. Our people need and deserve that their politics isn't dictated to them by a super PAC out of Washington, D.C. Our people need and deserve a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you so much for standing with us. So I think with that, I'm happy to take any questions that folks might have.
Can we please just have people say their name and outlet if you have a question?
Gary Hunter, The Shot News. You bring in my friends from the Black Caucus. I'm really concerned with the black vote. But you don't support black businesses. We got to figure out how you support the black press.
He just wants me to support his black business, but I'm with you.
For sure.
And look, I'll just tell you this. I think as health director in the city of Detroit, health director in Wayne County, we put a lot of effort into making sure that we addressed all the red tape that existed that got in the way of would-be entrepreneurs. And I'll just tell you this, in the Senate, we all know, everybody here knows, that the responsibility we have is to address the fact that too often our money goes to subsidize big corporations rather than to invest in the ability to build a small business in communities like this one. So our responsibility is to make sure that we change the way we think about economic development and recognize that that's about the investment in small business revolving loan funds, it's the investment in scalable capital, it's the investment in addressing a lot of the red tape that sits in front of small business creation, rather than sending our money to subsidize a corporation that always figures out how to offshore and automate our jobs. But I appreciate the question, sir.
Fox News. If the Democratic nominee is going to need a united party in November, if you win on Tuesday, what's your message to the Haley supporters? What's your message to Democrats who support Israel? How do you get them in your camp?
Look, I think we all understand the risk of Donald Trump. We all understand the risk of Mike Rogers. Mike Rogers is a guy who spends his time in Congress figuring out who he could do errands for so he could take more corporate PAC checks to do yet more errands. In 2003, he introduced the legislation that ultimately kicked off the opioid epidemic. 600,000 deaths later, we're still struggling to clean up the mess that he kicked off on behalf of Big Pharma. This is a guy who's taken to being, I don't know, a Timu Donald Trump, right down to the orange tanner. This is a guy who is not going to stand up and take on the war machine. He's not going to stand up and take on Big Pharma. He's not going to stand up and take on Big Tech. He is going to do the bidding of large corporations. I think everybody understands what the stakes are. So I'm looking forward to welcoming everybody who might have voted differently in the primary to a movement to get money out of politics, put money in our pocket, pass Medicare for all, take on Donald Trump, and actually build the kind of Michigan we need and deserve.
Abdul, we're going to go here to Sam.
Michigan Chronicle, Sam Robinson. Earlier today at Fellowship Chapel, there was a parishioner that told Haley Stevens that we know you're going to kick that Muslim's butt. She told a Detroit news reporter that that's not what her campaign is about. I've been hearing, frankly, just Islamophobia from a lot of people that are against you. How are you going to handle that if you make it to the primary against, a party that some would say is probably more Islamophobic than conservative Democrats?
It's a tiny minority of people who want to bring up the issues that they feel might divide us. And unfortunately, in the era of Donald Trump, we've seen a lot more of that kind of politics. our movement is about coming together to build something together, not despite our differences, but because of them. The beautiful thing about this country, and I've been Muslim in this country for 41 years, and the beautiful thing about this country is that my experience has never been that people will say things about faith or ethnicity to divide and not have other people stand up and embrace even harder or speak against that division even louder. And so even though we've watched people try to divide us for a very long time, we've also watched good people come together to unite us despite it. That's the story of America. So I know that there are some folks who are worried about ethnicity and faith. I understand that. But I also know that the folks who want to come together beyond those differences have always been and are so much more powerful in a moment like this. So we have the opportunity, I think.
Please continue, sir.
That was a racist big gulp. The Islamophobic big gulp just came through. But the forces that unite us are so much bigger than the forces that divide us.
Mason Courier Newsroom, you were just recently portrayed as Odysseus by Republican candidate Mike Rogers. He said that you're bringing in communism in a Trojan horse. How would you respond to people fearful of Bolshevik communism that you're going to bring in?
Said the same thing to Martin Luther King. Same thing to Fannie Lou Hamer.
The risk that we have right now in our society is unchecked corporatism of the type that Mike Rogers represents. The big risk that people have right now is that DTE is about to take more of their money to leave them in the dark if the wind blows. That Blue Cross Blue Shield is going to raise their premiums another 15% and then a deductible past the point that they can pay. The real risk is that Big Pharma is going to raise their prescription drug prices even higher. The real risk is that big tech is going to put a data center in their backyard so that Mike Rogers can portray me as Odysseus. The real risk that all of us face is the onslaught of a kind of corporate corruption that Mike Rogers has been the avatar for since he entered public life. And so I'm looking forward to the debate with Mike Rogers. I want to understand what he has to say to the 600,000 families who've got a hole in their family because of the opioid epidemic he kicked off. I want to understand what he has to say to the millions of people who struggle to afford their prescription drug prices. I want to understand what he has to say to the small businesses that had to shut down for 5 days because he took a DTE PAC check and doesn't want to regulate on a public utility that ought to be investing more in keeping our lights on than returning to shareholders so that they can be a Fortune 500 corporation. So he can talk about communism all he wants. He seems to be very, very obsessed with it. If he wants to be a communist, go be a communist. But I'm going to be talking about the issues that Michiganders actually face in their lives.
Abdul, to your right.
Jonathan Cohn, the Bulwark, on the same vein. You're running on Medicare for All. Mike Rogers is going to say it's socialized medicine. You're taking away people's private insurance. How are you going to answer that?
Mike Rogers is taking away people's private insurance because they can't freaking afford it. Mike Rogers is literally, I don't know how many times he's raised prescription drug prices. Here's the funny thing. He sent a cease and desist because I called him a pharma lobbyist. Now, my mistake. If all you ever do is pal around with pharma lobbyists, you've never seen a pharma lobbyist check you didn't want to take. If it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. How am I supposed to know it's a goose?
October we'll see food stamps cut off.
We're having everyone take one
Food stamps will be cut off in October. What are you going to do?
Ben Smith from the Telegraph.
So let me just answer this question. Okay? You're right, and we have a responsibility to stand up against that. And the reality of both SNAP, food stamps, and WIC, a program that I used to run, is that we've got too many folks who can't afford their groceries without them in the first place. So we got to stand up against the big corporations who have figured out how to use their monopoly and oligopoly power to raise our prices for the stuff that we absolutely need in our lives. And then we need to do absolutely everything we can to protect SNAP benefits and also protect Medicaid and also protect ACA subsidies to keep people whole. I appreciate the question.
JT Saskatchewan.
Telegraph. Hi. You've had $60 million spent against you, but it looks like you're going to win. Why isn't that money having the desired effect?
You can spend $60 million on lies, they're still lies. And we built a campaign that was about telling the truth in the times when people really wanted to pay attention. We kicked this campaign off back in April of 2025. we went to places that everybody told me, why would you waste your time? Well, because to me, listening to Michiganders is never a waste of time. So we went and we listened and we learned and we thought. And we made ourselves available. We took every question that people had and answered them honestly and directly. And we built a message that is about the challenges that people face. We want money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all. And it doesn't matter where you go in the state, that's the thing that people want. And we knew they were going to lie about us. We understood that that was coming. But here's the part about it. If the best you can do is lie on a 30-second ad during a commercial break, most people don't like the commercials anyway. So what happens when you can move a message that people really want to believe in, when they're willing to invest their time and energy, when you can knock 10,000 doors a day because you got 12,000 volunteers out there because they believe in something. You can't buy passion. You can't buy people deciding to put their times and their shoulders into the work. So they can go on and buy their ads, AIPAC and burn their money. If they want to burn another $50 million in the general, go ahead and do that too. But at the end of the day, money can't buy the truth.
Thank you, press.
So I just want to tell you, listen, we have a huge election on Tuesday. For everybody who has not cast their stake in democracy, make sure you do it. You can do it up until 5 o'clock today, or you can do it on Election Day on Tuesday. But the thing about it is this. We're watching an unprecedented assault on voting rights in a time when we thought that that question was closed. The only reason that they try to take your voice from you is because they're afraid of what you might stand up and do with your voice. And so the ask now is to stand up and use your voice. And whether you vote for me or you vote for my opponent or you vote for somebody else, make sure you step up and vote. Because this is a moment right now where we're watching the forces of anti-democracy try to take democracy away from us. And maybe just because I spent a lot of my childhood summers in a place that, but for an accident of history I was supposed to be born in, that does not have any democracy at all. The ability to do this thing, to have free and fair discussions about who we are and who we want to be, the ability to actually cast a vote for who we want to lead us, that is a special thing. And when they come in and drop $70 million, it's not just because they hate the idea that we could get money out of politics, it's because they hate the idea of democracy itself. That the people could have a voice and might choose somebody who isn't working for the corporations and the special interests. So the way we push back is to lift up our voices and be a part of that system. So I'm asking all Michiganders, make sure you step up, you cast your voice. I want to thank you to everybody who's been here today with us, standing in solidarity with us. Thank you so much to my fellow Michiganders, to all the folks who come in who believe that we got to get money out of politics, put money in pockets, pass Medicare for all. Thank you for being here. To the press, I just want to say, your job's not easy. It's really hard. And as much as they're trying to attack the democratic process, they understand that you all are a critical part of that. So thank you for lifting up your voice. Really appreciate you.
I want to wrap really quick because I think they're going to head up to that event, and I want to be able to get there. So I was just telling John off camera that I'm going to wrap up the stream here because I think they're going to very quickly try and get everybody to a campaign event that we are going to go and cover. I was actually trying to ask a question there. I got cut off a couple of times by other reporters, but the question that I was going to ask relates to some of the coverage that we're doing here on the ground in Michigan, which I have been speaking to a number of El Sayed supporters who have told me that in the event he loses the primary on Tuesday, they will not, they say, vote for his opponent, Representative Haley Stevens, in the general election because of a lot of the support that she has accepted in the positions that she has taken. I wanted to get his response to that. What's the message that he has for his supporters who are contemplating taking that position? But we'll have the chance to ask those questions because we're going to be at a bunch of other events where El Sayed is going to be. In fact, we're going to hustle to one right now in Warren, Michigan, where Representative Mejia, who was one of those who stood up and spoke there during the press conference, will be there doing door knocking. We're going to try and get some interviews with her. We'll be dropping all of these on our YouTube channel, Status Coup, on YouTube, as well as on our social media. So follow us on whatever platform you are on. I think Status Coup has an outlet there. One more plea to you. You saw we've been live down here for now, 2 hours plus, 2 hours plus, and we've been in position a lot longer than that, hoofing it through the rain and across part of the city to be able to bring you this coverage. We're now going to sprint across the city to get more coverage. We'll be live on the ground here in the coming days, so get subscribed, hit the bell notification so you get notified as soon as we do go live here. And I want to encourage you one more time to go to statuscoup.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go to sustain us here on the ground, help cover all of the many expenses that we generate. And we really appreciate our paying members. I was able to interact with some of you who are using Super Chats and thank some of you who became paying subscribers during this stream. I also want to thank our partners on this stream. Again, Drop Site News. If you are a member of Status Coup who has not yet gone over and subscribed to Drop Site and the incredible journalistic work that they do over there, please do. We really admire the work that they do, and we're glad that we can lift them up and they can lift us up by co-streaming this here. So please go like them and subscribe to them. If you're part of the Drop Site audience, welcome in. I hope you do the same for us, and we'll be offering more coverage here throughout the weekend. So with that, I'm going to sign off on behalf of myself, John behind the camera, Michelle, the producer who is running this for us back home, as well as everybody on our Status Coup team, and on behalf of our partners at Drop Site. Thank you for being with us. Stay safe, and we'll catch you next time.